Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Splatterhouse 3, brought to us by Namco for the Sega Genesis. Splatterhouse 3 changed up the gameplay from the other Splatterhouse games, making it more of a traditional beat-em-up game, giving you some grabs as well as some combos and special moves to help you along your way. The big difference though between this and the other Splatterhouse games is a more emphasis on the time limit. Each level has a certain time, and depending upon how quick you complete that level will depend on what ending you end up getting at the end of the game. There's 4 different endings in total, and I will be showing all 4 endings at the end of the video. At our startup screen, you can see we can go to options or put a password to go to any level. And just like Splatterhouse 2, there is different difficulties, and I will be playing on the normal default difficulty in this run of the game. Our storyline takes place 5 years after the second Splatterhouse game. Rick and Jennifer have now had a son, David, and have bought a house in Connecticut, a large mansion. However, unlike the other Splatterhouse games, the demons come to Rick instead of Rick going to them, as the demons fill up the mansion, and Rick must do his best to try to save his family located in the mansion from these demons. The Terror Mask joins again with Rick, and is trying to help Rick destroy this evil that is trying to spawn within the house. This evil all revolves around this dark stone that is needed for a special ritual. We'll find out more about the ritual as the game continues through. You can see right away that Splatterhouse 3 is much different from the second Splatterhouse game, as we can actually move on a bigger playing field, just like in most beat-em-up games. When you get close to an enemy, just like beat-em-ups, you will be able to grab them, as well as you can hit them with your normal attacks, but the most effective move, and the one I will be using for 95% of the entire run, is the spin kick, or when you're in your charged up mode, the powered up mode, which you can change into at any time as long as you have power in your power meter, which you get from picking up any of the blue orbs scattered around the levels. I'm also going to be going through the quickest path to get through each of the levels, so that I can complete the levels with end up getting the best ending of the game. So there's lots of different rooms in each level that I won't be going through in my run of the game. Once again, just like the other Splatterhouse games, there are weapons to pick up as well in each level. The weapons are very useful for using a stronger melee attack. However, they have a big downside that when using a weapon you can no longer grab, which can be effective against certain types of enemies, but you thankfully can still do your spin kick. Also with the weapons, unfortunately every time you get hit you end up dropping the weapon, and if you don't pick it back up within a short amount of time, a spirit comes and takes the weapon off screen. I will pick up a few weapons during the course of the run just to show them off, because they have some pretty cool gore effects every time you splatter one of their heads with one. The first level of the game is pretty easy to get through, and be able to get to the end of it within about the time you need to. In the game though, every time you complete a level within a given time, you will also be treated to a bonus stage, where you can get a few extra lives before going to the next level. However, there is one downside if you're trying to do a complete run of the game, because in a few of the levels, if you complete it within another amount of time, a very quick amount of time, you end up going to a different type of bonus stage that's in a different area other than the normal bonus stage, and what happens is you end up skipping the next level, which of course can be beneficial if you're trying to do a very quick run of the game. However, since I'm trying to show off every level, I have to beat levels in a certain time frame so I don't end up skipping any. As you can see, the spin kick is extremely effective when taking out enemies, especially in bunches, since you are completely invulnerable while doing the spin kick. The game may seem easy at first, just like the other Splatterhouse games. However, one thing that will make you lose a lot of lives is the amount of damage that enemies will do to you. In the first level or so, they won't do too much damage, but they can kill you in about 4 or 5 hits total. And in the later levels, only 2 hits will be able to actually take you out from certain enemies. The first 2 levels and the time limits affect how Jennifer is by the end of the game, and the 3rd and 4th levels affect how the sun is. The final level of the game, the 5th level, doesn't really affect anything, so you can take your time during that stage if you would really like to. I'll explain a little bit about the map system in just a little bit after I beat my first boss of the game. As you saw right there, you saw a weird creature run off there before our battle begins here. That creature is actually the boss of the 2nd level, and the one who has actually affected Jennifer with a boar worm. Now as you can see, I'm hulked out in my first power form, and by pressing the same combination really to do the spin kick, I can also do this power move which will kill bosses in only a few hits. The first boss is really easy to deal with, and you're going to be seeing him a couple of times throughout the game in different forms, so get used to him. He will block from time to time, but if you stay a good distance away from him and have your power meter, you should have no trouble. The amount of distance that you can hit with that power move is almost everything that you can see on your screen at a time. So if you can see it on your screen, you can probably hit it with that move, even though it usually looks like it wouldn't actually hit. Since I was able to complete the level in a certain amount of time, I get to Stage X, which is the bonus stage. All the bonus stages are called Stage X, and there's 2 variants of this type of stage where you can see you're on this outside wall. You can actually come to this area in the 5th and final stage of the game. The upper part of the map will actually lead you to this part. I highly suggest using the hulked out power move anytime you can during this stage to easily take out the enemies here. Once you've defeated every enemy, you then move on to the next stage of the game. As you can see, you have the orbs for power, you have the flashing hearts for your health, and then the Bible item is actually your extra lives. So here's the beginning of stage number 2, and it will affect how much the boar worm actually infects Jennifer. So unless you want Jennifer to go insane, you want to beat this level as quick as possible. Once again, the spin kick as well as the power move are going to be the main things I'm using, because I'm going to be using it in every level. Anytime you actually defeat all the enemies in a room, and you're actually able to go to the next room, you can also bring up a map to see where you're going. Now on the map, it's broken up into a couple of different ways. You have all the doors listed on there, but you have special doors. You have doors that won't appear from certain entrances. You have doors that are just your normal walkthrough doors, which appear pretty much like a brownish clear on the map. And then you have yellow doors, which will actually warp you to other parts of the mansion. These yellow warps are crucial in order to beat each level in the allotted amount of time.